Good morning to you. Welcome to today's Intelligence Brief.
Good morning.
We are coming to you with a calm, objective, and professional assessment of the critical events that have unfolded across Europe and Russia over the past 2 weeks. It is my privilege to guide you through this morning's report.
Indeed. It is a pleasure to be at the desk with you to analyze these rapidly developing situations.
This deep dive is sponsored by ProWave AI and is generated by Stylo News, the AI-powered news application. For our records, the title of today's analysis is Economic Strain and Battlefield Setbacks Challenge Russia's War Strategy. Abilities of the Stylo News application we are utilizing today.
Yes, that is important context. This platform is the consumer version of the Stylo Intel Ops software. Originally, that architecture was designed exclusively for enterprise operations.
Government, military, and corporate leaders.
Precisely. It was built for high-level strategic planning. What this means for you, listening at home or on your commute, is that you now have unique access to a tool designed to support global decision makers.
And that brings us to our mission for today's broadcast. Our objective is to impartially analyze the primary patterns of events from the past 14 days. We will examine the local, national, and international impacts.
We will identify the perspectives of key decision makers, explore the prevailing public sentiment on social media, and forecast the most likely events you should watch for.
All presented without bias, and certainly without generating fire. We begin on the front lines, where the scale of the conflict continues to rewrite modern military history. We've just received raw data from NATO.
And the human toll is quite staggering. According to NATO's latest intelligence, there have been 1.3 million Russian casualties.
That incorporates both killed and wounded since the onset of the conflict, correct?
That is correct. To place the momentum of those figures into context, 400,000 of those casualties occurred in the year 2025 alone. We're also looking at 350,000 confirmed deaths overall.
When a nation loses that demographic slice of its working and fighting-age population, it faces a severe manpower challenge, which explains the drastic legislative maneuvers we are seeing from Moscow.
Yes. Domestically, the Russian State Duma just passed legislation shielding foreign nationals serving in their military from extradition.
But the most significant development, the one that internationalizes the front line, is the deployment of approximately 10,000 North Korean soldiers to Russia. We have been tracking this movement since mid-2024.
It is a calculated risk, and a highly transactional one. These North Korean troops are reportedly there to gain active combat experience.
And in exchange,
Russia is opening its armories. They are providing Pyongyang with modern military hardware, specifically Pantsir mobile air defense systems and sophisticated electronic warfare equipment.
so it bolsters Russian front lines today while advancing North Korea's capabilities for tomorrow. Concurrently, we're observing a shift in how Russia utilizes its own long-range capabilities within Ukraine.
A very notable shift. Previous campaigns targeted the energy grid, but the focus has pivoted toward crippling logistical infrastructure.
The intelligence highlights concentrated strikes on railways and municipal water supplies. This was marked by a massive peak in missile attacks last month, a record 288 missiles launched in February.
In response, Ukrainian forces have implemented their own countermeasures. In the southern theater, they reclaimed between 400 and 435 square kilometers near Zaporizhia.
They're also striking high-value targets behind the lines.
Exactly. They recently destroyed a Russian S-400 air defense system in Belgorod. Taking an S-400 off the board is a massive logistical blow. It is their top-tier surface-to-air missile system.
Following that, Ukraine launched a strike against the Dorogobuz chemical factory deep within Russian territory.
When we examine the perspectives of key decision-makers, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's stance is clear. He has warned the international community about the acute danger of North Korean troops gaining hybrid warfare experience,
which alters the security calculus for the Pacific region as well. President Zelensky also stated Ukraine requires an additional 250,000 troops, and he clarified that any presidential elections rely on achieving a ceasefire first.
Sustaining that kind of defense requires immense capital, and looking at the economic data from Moscow, the financial foundation appears strained. Russia's federal budget revenue from oil and gas saw a 44% year-on-year decline in February 2026.
A 44% drop is a sudden shock. The fiscal impact is evident. This decline contributed to a federal budget deficit of 1.5 trillion rubles for February alone.
That accumulates to over 3 trillion rubles for the first 2 months of the year. Our analysts note this is driven by an artificially strong ruble and low global oil prices.
Historically, economic strain correlates with internal security challenges. In St. Petersburg, authorities arrested Anton Jalyabov, the deputy chairman of Gazprom Neft, on bribery charges.
A widening fissure within a critical state-aligned industry. The state is also tightening its grip on dissent. Russia's Supreme Court officially designated the Russian Anti-War Committee as a terrorist organization.
We're also seeing breaches in physical security. A car bomb near Moscow's Sovolovsky station killed a police officer. On the maritime front, President Putin accused Ukraine of a terrorist naval drone attack.
This attack sank the Russian LNG tanker, the Arctic Medagaz, near Malta. The loss of a liquefied natural gas vessel in European waters is a severe economic escalation.
It is instructive to gauge public reaction. Social media sentiment on X reveals a complex discourse. Users are tracking the halving of Russian energy revenues, but the sentiment is not uniform.
No, it is not. There is widespread criticism directed toward NATO policies. Users are voicing frustration over localized LNG shortages and a sudden surge in energy prices across the Baltic region,
which directly followed recent Qatari supply disruptions. Those energy shocks bring us to the intersection of this conflict with the Middle East. The landscape has been severely disrupted by the Iran crisis.
Most notably, the assassination of Iran's supreme leader Ali Khamenei, alongside United States and Israeli strikes targeting Iranian military infrastructure.
The magnitude of a power vacuum in Tehran cannot be overstated. Russian state media condemned the strikes as war crimes. Intelligence indicates this assassination has magnified President Putin's paranoia regarding Western-backed regime change.
International leaders view this intersection very differently. Pavlo Klimkin, the former Ukrainian foreign minister, cautions that the U.S. focus on Iran might divert vital arms away from Ukraine.
Conversely, Finland's President Alexander Stubb notes that the Middle East conflict is likely to disrupt the military pipeline between Russia and Iran. A reduction in Iranian drone shipments could alleviate pressure on Ukraine.
In a tactical development bridging both theaters, Ukraine is exporting its battlefield expertise. They have dispatched specialized drone operators and interceptor drones to Jordan.
Their mission is to assist in defending U.S. military bases against Iranian drone attacks. They are directly leveraging counter-UAV tactics refined over the past 4 years.
That globalization of the conflict forces us to review Europe's defensive posture. Across the continent, NATO nations are undertaking profound security reassessments.
10 NATO countries, including Germany, Poland, and the Baltic states, are jointly developing mass civilian evacuation plans. Poland has imposed temporary airspace restrictions.
Adding to this, Lithuanian intelligence reports that Russia is actively expanding military units near NATO borders. Their assessment warns Moscow may be preparing for a conventional conflict within a 6-year time frame.
A 6-year window leaves very little time for procurement. This has reignited the debate over European strategic autonomy. French President Emmanuel Macron is reaffirming exclusive national control over France's nuclear arsenal,
while Poland's foreign minister Radoslaw Sikorski takes a different stance. He urged Europe to prepare for a large-scale war, explicitly questioning France's nuclear leadership and favoring the United States' nuclear umbrella.
We see divisions extending into diplomacy. The European Union, led by Kaja Kallas, demands concessions from Russia, including the return of displaced Ukrainian children.
However, Hungary's Prime Minister, Viktor Orban, has accused Brussels of declaring war on Hungary over political disagreements. Simultaneously, Orban's government is engaged in bilateral talks in Moscow to secure oil and gas supplies.
Despite these fractures, peace efforts remain in motion. Former U.S. President Donald Trump is attempting to position himself as a mediator.
German Chancellor Friedrich Merz insists Europe must have a primary seat at the table in any agreement. And regarding reconstruction, former UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has joined Ukraine's Economic Recovery Advisory Council.
Looking ahead, we can objectively project several likely events. Watch closely for the potential commencement of new ceasefire talks in Geneva.
These are expected to involve the United States and Ukraine initially, with the eventual inclusion of Russia.
From a military readiness perspective, monitor the ongoing NATO exercises Arctic Sentry and Arctic Edge 2026, currently taking place in Greenland and Alaska.
Also, keep an eye on cultural diplomacy. A clash is developing over the potential reinstatement of Russia's participation in the upcoming Venice Biennale art exhibition.
Finally, look for developments in international legal actions. The International Criminal Court is pursuing war crimes investigations. Ukrainian authorities recently identified a Russian major general responsible for a 2024 missile strike on the Okhmati Children's Hospital in Kyiv.
And that concludes our formal intelligence brief for this morning.
Whew. Okay, stepping away from the anchor disk for a moment. It is always a bit intense maintaining that classic objective delivery.
Yeah, it really is. I feel like I need to loosen my collar a bit. But honestly, dropping the broadcaster voice, it really is wild how interconnected all these regional conflicts have become.
Absolutely. I mean, when you look at how a drone facility in Iran impacts a battlefield in Ukraine, or how energy prices in the Baltics are tied directly to supply disruptions in Qatar, you realize how crucial it is to have all the facts in one place.
I completely agree. The geopolitical landscape just isn't a series of isolated events anymore. It's one massive interconnected system.
Right.
And that is exactly why the Stylo News application is such an impressive piece of technology. As we mentioned at the start, it is available as both a mobile and a computer app.
And what makes it so unique is that you, as an individual listener, can download it and completely customize it to receive these personal intelligence-style briefs.
Exactly. It doesn't just pull from one biased source. It aggregates and analyzes data from hundreds of traditional news outlets, as well as real-time sentiment from platforms like X.
It's exactly the kind of tool you need if you want to cut through the daily noise and get straight to the facts that actually matter to your life. We highly recommend you check it out for yourself.
You can subscribe to Stylo News to get AI-powered news on demand by visiting www.buy.stylonews.com.
We want to sincerely thank you for taking the time to listen to this deep dive today. We always appreciate your curiosity and your willingness to engage with these heavy global issues.
We absolutely do. Please do not hesitate to reach out and request topics for future deep dives. We love hearing what you want to learn about next.
And remember to follow Stylo News on all your favorite social media platforms to stay updated.
To close out today's deep dive, I want to leave you with one final, intriguing question to ponder on your own.
Let's hear it.
Given everything we've unpacked today, as we watch nations deeply entangle their military strategies with their energy exports, we have to ask, when the global transition to renewable energy inevitably accelerates, how will states that rely entirely on fossil fuels to fund their defense navigate a world where their primary geopolitical weapon is no longer needed?
Man, now that is a fascinating question to chew on. Thanks again for joining us, and we will see you on the next deep dive.